Welcome to the tutorial video for Ampliofy Know, the easy and simple solution that stores all of your survey responses in Google Analytics. With Ampliofy Know, you'll easily be able to create beautiful surveys. Once you log into Ampliofy Know, the first thing you'll see this list of surveys created. If it's your first time in Ampliofy Know, this list will be empty, and the first thing you'll need to do is create new survey. But if you have used Ampliofy Know before, you will see the surveys that you created previously. For surveys that are saved, you can preview, publish, or duplicate them. For surveys that are live, you can preview, pause, stop, or duplicate them. For surveys that have completed, either are no longer running, you can preview or duplicate them. In this list, you can select which surveys to see. Each survey should be connected to a domain name where it can be shown. This also makes it possible to, in this view, filter what surveys you see. Like that. But the first thing you do, the first time you run Ampliofy Know, is you create a new survey. For the sake of this demonstration, we're using a premium account. If you're uncertain on what features are available in your account, please go to amplify.com and look at the product table for Ampliofy Know. When you create a new survey, the first thing you have to do is give your survey a title. The title is a name that you will see in the list of surveys that we just looked at. The survey title is used for to help you only. So this is not a text that will be shown to visitors. This is text that will be used for you to be able to find and identify a survey in the list once you've created many different surveys. The welcome text, on the other hand, will be displayed to visitors. This is a text that's shown in the beginning of each survey that you create. Now this text is to be designed per survey, so you can have a different text for different surveys. But in this particular case, let's write something like this. The shorter the survey, the higher the response rate is what we find. Now, we also find it helpful to say in the welcome text how many questions that the visitor can be expected to respond to. That way they know what they're getting themselves into when they start answering your survey. Always remember to save the changes that you make. The next step is to create your first question. The next thing to select is answer type. If you're ever uncertain about what something means, please click the eye icon for more information. The different answer types that you can select between, they are yes or no. This can be changed to true or false, 1 or 0, or whatever you want to, but it's only 2 different values. Single choice, made from radio buttons. Multiple choice, you can check multiple checkboxes, so the visitor will be able to tick as many as they like. Free text, the visitor can write anything they want. Single choice, but instead from a drop-down menu, or custom scale. This scale will be shown horizontally. For this example, we use radio buttons. If you ever want to remove a possible response, click this removal button. If you want to delete a question, click delete question. before you move away from this page, always remember to save your changes. You see, it saved a minute ago, and now it says 0 minutes ago, meaning your changes have been saved. To add another question, click Add Question. For this example, I use a custom scale. And I make it from 1 to 5. Say, how happy are you? You can decide whether or not you want a question to be mandatory. If you want a question to be mandatory, make sure the required box is ticked. If you untick it, that means this particular question is not longer mandatory for the visitor to respond to. When you're done, save changes. I'm not quite done yet, so I will wait a little with saving my changes. If I want to add a third question but do it on a different page, what I do is I click Add Survey Page. Keep in mind that all surveys are shown in a layer and it kind of looks like a pop-up even though it isn't. This still means that for this view of the survey, you can have different pages. When I click Add Survey Page, you can see this tear out that shows you that the next question will begin on a new page. So if I add question, you can see question number 3 now is suddenly on a new page. Multiple choice, checkboxes. I keep adding different responses by clicking add another value. I can remove a value when I feel like it, and I can add a new one. And then I can keep on doing this, adding more questions, adding more pages if I like. Or I can add a thank you message, a confirmation page. This is a message that will be shown to the visitor once they have submitted the survey. And if I'm pleased at this point, I save. Okay, now I want to know what my survey will look like. For that, I click Preview. Required questions make it so that the button, in this case next button, since there's a third question on a second page, is not activated until you responded. There, it's activated. And here you can see the third question on a second page. And once I click one of these choices, the submit button will be activated. This is multiple choice, but you saw I had to make at least one choice before it gets activated. And then I can submit it. And here you can see the thank you or confirmation message. Now I'm back at the view again, and if I'm not happy with the survey, I can make changes. I can move questions around by using these arrows. Of course, number 1 I can't move higher up, but I can move it down. So now you can see question number 1 is how happy are you? It used to be question number 2. I go back to question number 2 here, how old are you? I want to move it up again. You can see it's now question number 1 again. I decide I don't want to have a page break. I want to have all 3 questions on one page. I delete the page break like that. Now all 3 questions will be on one page. I decide I don't want these questions anymore. Say number 3. Find that it's not necessary. I can delete it. I'm back to having just 2 questions. Maybe I don't want to have a confirmation message. It's not necessary to have this thank you message. I can remove that as well. Now the survey only has 2 questions and no confirmation page. If I'm happy with this, I click Save. And now I can see it has been saved. Next thing, I may want to publish a survey, or first I might want to change the look and feel of it. For each part of the survey, you can choose between different fonts, different font sizes, and different colors. You have for each part a preview box where you can see what it will look like. So I change to Verdana, you can see changes. I make it bigger. You can see in the preview too that it's bigger. I can enter different color, or I can select it from the color selector, and you'll see in the preview what it will look like. This is for the welcome text. You can do this for questions, answers, the confirmation text, and then you can add your logo to the survey as well. If you have like your company logo and you want it displayed on the survey, this is where you upload it. The restraints and the requirements you can find here. You also always have more information by clicking the eye icon. You can change the background color of the survey as well. Maybe you want to have a crazy color like purple in the background. No problem, you can set that here. You can change the text on the submit button, on the next button text, or if you don't want to have the standard buttons, you can even upload your own images to use as the submit and the next button. The reason there is no previous button is the way this survey works is that it sends responses to Google Analytics, and once the responses are sent, they're actually stored, and we want them stored there so you can analyze them. So we've decided only to have next and submit. We count on the users making their choices carefully before moving on to the next step. If the survey has more than one step, that is, of course. Now, if I made changes here like this purple and I realize I don't like this too much, even though I've just saved it, there you can see it's saved. I can always revert back to the default design and start all over again. And now you can see that it's back to the standard format. I can always preview it and see what the entire survey will look like with my different changes to the formatting. I can always make a duplicate, i.e. a copy of the survey, and work with that. And if I don't like the survey at all, I can always delete it. Keep in mind a deleted survey can't be retrieved. Lastly, what you have for surveys is the Settings tab. In Settings, you have to select the domain where the survey can be shown. If you have created domains before, you can select them from a list. If not, you click Add Domain. And you add the domain name that you want the survey to be able to be displayed on. Once I saved it, it's selectable in the list. There we go. You also select when the survey should start to show, when it should end, or if it should go on until you manually stop it. You can change the frequency. Should the survey be shown to all visitors or only some of them? Say you only want to show it to half of the visitors, you change this to 50%. You select triggers. The default behavior is that the survey is displayed when the visitor is entering the website and had never seen the survey before, and is part of the, of course, the group selected to be to have the survey displayed to. You can also decide that the survey should only be shown after a certain amount of seconds. Or you can decide that it should only be displayed once a button is clicked. If you select button option, you get a code example to use with your buttons. But let's say we use display survey when entering the website. You can also decide where the survey should be shown. We'll get to the script for Ampliofy Know, but we typically recommend that you implement it globally so that it's on all of your pages. Then by default, the survey can be shown on all pages, but if you want to limit it to a certain subset of pages, you can enter a criteria here. For instance, maybe you only want to show the survey on pages that are located in a specific directory. You can enter it here. So this would only show the survey on pages that are located in sales. But for this example, let's go with on all pages. Next thing, you need to connect your survey to your Google Analytics account. Here, what you need to do is if you have made a change to the tracker object, you need to enter that tracker object name here. Most users do not have to enter anything into this field, but we refer to the eye icon here for more information. But like I said, typically default is fine. And then you have to select if your Google Analytics tracking script is async or sync. Async is the script that's used by standard since quite some time now by Google Analytics. But if your implementation is older, you might be using the sync script. If you're uncertain which one you're using, please talk to your web developer, webmaster, or the like. If you're still uncertain, please visit amplify.com for more information. In advanced settings, you can set the cookie expiration time. You can set it to never expire, meaning one visitor on one web browser can only see this particular survey once ever, unless they clean out their cookies. Or you can set the cookie expiration to a certain amount of days, months, or years. Say after 3 months, you want the same visitor to be able to see the same survey again. Maybe you're asking, say, how happy are you? And you want to see if that's changed after 3 months. Then you can set a cookie expiration time. And like everything else here, you have to remember to click save if you want to save your changes. If you're now ready to publish your survey, you click publish. Now, if this is your first time using Amplify Know, do not forget to go into settings for the account as well. In settings for the account, you will find the survey code. The survey code is supposed to be copied and pasted after the opening body tag on every page of your website. Typically, you do not do this per page, you do it globally. Please talk to your webmaster or web developer if you do not know how to do this. So here's an example on a site. Here you can see the Amplify Know code has been implemented. Now let's have a look at this example site. We've actually implemented the survey here, so you can see how that works. It's set to trigger on entry. So let's say we're entering the site now. Here you can see the survey. Yes, it's quite ugly, but we wanted to show you that you can customize your survey a lot. So I've changed the font and the sizes and the colors here, and I've added a custom logo, which is very ugly, but to prove a point. Now, what I would also like to show you is something maybe a little bit more geeky, but if you want to know how this works, if you have something like WASP installed in your web browser, you can see how the data is being sent. This is not something you need to know. This is just something that's kind of cool to know. Now let's submit the survey and see what happens. Now here in WASP, you can see data has been sent to Google Analytics. Let's have a look at one of these rows. You can see that an event has been triggered. So, and this is a data that has been passed to Google Analytics. This is a non-interaction event, meaning it won't affect your bounce rate. Finally, I quickly want to show you how to work with this data in Google Analytics. Ampliofy Know does currently not have any reports of its own, so you create the reports and analysis in Google Analytics, which is very powerful if you know how to use the tool. So in this example, I'm creating an advanced segment. And if you're familiar with advanced segments, what they do is that they only show a subset of all visits that meet the criteria that you set here. So in this case, what you need to know is the event category for surveys contains a number that identifies the survey, and then the event action will contain the question number, and event label will contain the response. So in this example here, for the sample survey that I just showed you, I've decided to create a segment that only includes visits that meet the following criteria. The event category should be survey 62. That's a number for this survey example that I just showed you. And the event action should be question 1. That's the first question of that survey. And the 1 corresponds to the number you see in the interface when you set up and create the surveys for Ampliofy Know. And the last and third criteria here is that the event label should be woman. Okay, this means this is an advanced segment that only include visits where the visitor has responded to survey 62, has responded to question number 1, and to question number 1 responded woman. When I save and apply this segment, what will happen is that for all of the reports that you see in Google Analytics, this segment will be applied. You see here 5 visits. You see page views 24, on average 4.8 pages per visit. The average visit duration is 5 minutes and 13 seconds. The bounce rate is 20%, etc. All these values now are only women, because remember, I applied an advanced segment that I just created based on the survey responses. The cool thing here is also that if I navigate to other different reports and I do not remove this selected segment, it will be applied to all of those reports as well. So this is how you can dig really deep and see, look at, for instance, women, which pages do they look at? If they said they would do a specific thing, which is a question you often want to ask, did they succeed? Look at the behavior. And then one other place where you might want to look is under content events. And what you can look at there is more raw numbers. We really think that the power of Ampliofy Know is combining these survey responses with all behaviors. So you should really work with advanced segments. But what you can do here under events is that you can look at the event category. See here survey 62 again. You can add a secondary dimension. So we can look at, we can take action, for instance. So what we see here is that for this segment, still selected, only those who are women, they have responded to question number 2 5 times and given 12 values. You might remember that in this particular survey, the second question was a multiple choice question. That's why you can have given many responses by just responding to the survey once. But let's remove this segment. Now we're applying this to all visits. So we can also see here that actually 3 different visitors because this is 3 visits from 3 unique visitors given the cookie, have denied the survey. They've seen the survey, but they clicked it away and not responded to it. We can also make a segment and see how those people behave if you want that. We can drill deeper down and say go into survey 62. Then we have event action. We can add a secondary dimension here. Look at event label. Say we only want to see the number of responses to question number 2. We filter it. Here you can see only question number 2. And we can see that we got 11 votes for web analytics. There were 11 submissions. So let's show you the survey again. Here's the survey. So remember question number 2, you can make several choices here for answers. That's how it works. One visitor answers once, and they can answer up to 4 different, or they can give up to 4 different responses to question number 2 in this example. So here we see question number 2, the response web analytics. That response has been given 10 times. If we instead filter question number 1, question number 1 was a single choice question. So in this case, we know that one visitor could only answer once. So we have a total of 12 events in this case. What that means is that we have 12 visitors who have responded to the survey. Because in this case, it was single choice, we know that one response equals 1 visitor. So that also means 5 women and 4 men, for instance. So that's a basic idea for how you report and analyze on surveys. I hope you see how powerful this can be. That's about what I wanted to show you for this tutorial. The last thing is, if you go under your user, you can find more information about your account. So here you can see what information is known about you. You can change the time zone, and you can change the date and time format. Always remember to save all changes. And you can see what subscription you have to the product. That's it for this tutorial for Ampliofy Know. Thank you for watching, happy analyzing, and please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.